a low species value nature system. When I was a kid, there was a real nice couple and their kid, Mark Halpern, and their demonstrations, I don't know then they were having difficulties, they were fighting, but there are proofs that it was associated with a crime method, because right around about at that time there were people that made confessions and demonstrations to me, older people associated with the kids, and with ones associated with a crime method, with recording and with witness fabrications, with interbranch and with foreign collusion, also with overt criminal enterprises and natures of act. And then the woman reportedly committed suicide in the house, which is right over, there's a pond like this. It's upside down, whatever. So anyways, it's backwards. The house is overlooking upon a nice little house, you know what I mean? There proof someone wanted that house, so they were putting pressure on that family. Because they have a crime method with the police, they're pretending they don't do it, but they're doing it with other police forms too. And that house now has a young woman, I call her a girl because she's probably, I believe, older than 18, but little girl, involved with whoever's living in there now, involved with confessions and recorded proofs of police who are still involved as ones associated with proven sex offenders since, and that they hid, hiding with wire crime shifts and with lies about my communications, because they brought this up to me. I've been trying to report sex offender tied, untimely death confessions tied to drug crimes and stuff like that associated with people on off campus with grammar school, with the principal arrested for his roles, and further recorded on off unrealized, like retired police of the school unrealized with it, like a Dylan recorded and confessed involved with his former detective's family down the street, and other the former dispatch has two sons that were my age growing up, but never had classes with them. I don't even know if they went to my schools. And they're associated with the neighbors that I do know, I only know from age context, directed, like they would make sequential confessions, which is part of a crime method recorded with crime acts with their roles with courts. Since they were little, over here he made confessions with others about being directed to crime roles with a court and with police and with federal criminals. Eric Jensen, I met through him. They put these people in my classes too, some of them. Eric Jensen, they put in my class for database crime. Eric Oliveri, also recorded and confessed involved with Trinity College. People that attach me to fake conversations. They're doing they're spreading, every college campus I went to is tied to this too. The same racket, same people, because it's the way the adult campuses, if you want to call them that, especially the ones that are medical, and how that is leading up to it and stuff like that. But biology, dealing with, they're bad with, right where we have the only protections per how our nations are shared campuses, policing agreements. Puerto Rico involved with criminal justice rackets with the schools. Fox CT when they put a prior drug dealer or whatever like that inside the school. They're also recorded with and confessed with Alison Mulcahy through time. A lot of people, I never had a conversation with Alison Mulcahy in her life. She's a recorded and confessed involved with police officers and federal criminals of various forms, and with the Wethersfield Police Department, the judicial branch offices, and people associated with the living next to the state prison offices, right in the corner of right where Hartford and Wethersfield connect, and the street on the other side is supposed to be reportedly Wethersfield. There's also associated with people with crime method against North End of Hartford, where it has everyone recorded, consciously exploited as standing forced indifference formally to criminal justice roles with undercover positions, stuff like all these juxtaposed, not just because they're overt criminal enterprises, but they're being used by originally in state internation ones for a crime method, keeping the shared policing of campuses and of industries positions tied to that areas maintained criminally foreign influence roles with database solution stacking. So they had like Thomas Skaitis. I don't know him, but through his demonstrated roles with crimes with police and stuff like that, and with federal criminals associated with that house, and right before the time of her death, Mark Halpern's mother. And I don't believe she would take her life, because these are also officers who are involved sickly with child predators and with acts to use to hide their roles with untimely deaths. And with database solution stacking that is recorded and confessed, a court told the WFSB and other media to fake both sides of stories. They've also been recorded and confessed to police, directed to make allusions with areas, because then they're pretending that has been evidences. Also associated and recorded with a Club Blue and a bunch of houses on Two Ride Highway, recorded and confessed as strangers that sought me out with those confessions in the past and related to their current federal crimes, with body dumping spots, and with doctors with crimes with kids, and with prison criminal justice cliques, and with the family members of a probate court judge, and other ones recorded switching names, forging names, crime roles with kids, drugs with streets, evidence, crime stacking, database illusion stacking, recording things about pretending, in other words, hiding everything. In other words, it was demonstrated that a Delafero family takes pictures of people and stuff like that, and because they were trying to make illusion, they have a crime role with databases where they're putting people in classrooms to connect with the people that they're never going to see in the hall, because you only have 3 minutes between your classroom. Plus you're doing this and other thing. They're attaching everyone to, like, it's a crime method with database illusion stacking. And then with and as harassment and things like that, with evidence crimes, making mistakes and pretending not to realize, using online platform policing. They're recorded, using that to have facilitated what they had to cover it up with the roles with that, with all rackets, and the roles with the trade center crimes. Also recorded with them consciously pretending to be prejudiced, specifically for their roles, like with Normandy Heights has foreign and domestic military ties, with police crime roles, with court police, with evidence crime roles, with investigators, with areas, and with courts in their hallways and stuff like that, and their fact treatment natures, and with on-off campus crime roles, with them first used to keep them maintain areas and states criminally foreign influenced. And that was exploited for the Trade Center attack. But it is exploited in other countries too. See how we have a theme with the terrorism and stuff like that? These are fake sides. The way they're able to do this is for how each modern nation fell to what criminally re-engineered ancient campus marcias to maintain defenses of what nature they knew would continue to cause negative value nature progressions, like with lie progression cover-up natures, areas maintained tactically pseudo-educated, interscience. We have systemic physical delusions with fact treatments recorded specifically to exploit and to prevent free speech of a quality of nature of quality capable of defending finite active body of value and overall progressive values relationship to what is really true, and per systemic database illusion stacking that is maintained to maintain recorded criminally foreign influenced areas in states' courts, originally and still through the same method. And then that ducks and hides between how we have like Cuban, Puerto Rican, Italian, Irish, all these France, all these police forms juxtaposed here, like with policing of stores and stuff like that. There's a school with nuns recorded and confessed involved criminally with New Britain, and with West Hartford, with not just Nordstrom, the mall, something like that, with these places, with the agencies and their family members recorded and confessed criminally involved, pretending to know me, with child sex offenders tied to these people, and crime roles with them as acts. The crime method not letting acts reported, agencies recorded, directing people to pretend they don't understand people, so they don't have to deal with acts, because there were sequence shifts. See, when the sequence shift, when the police that you're trying to have healed, it's not that they're also recording criminally foreign influence to pretend that they believe they're patriotism natures when they know they're criminally foreign influence consciously. This is recorded. Now, this is Joe Aiello, and also recorded and confessed involved with Wethersfield Police, Wethersfield Interbranch, Intercity, Intertime through crime acts that are progressive while they're not letting me report this. This is also recorded online in areas crime, intercampus crime method still being used to hide further child predators to prevent mandated law. The mandated law, that they're supposed to take complaints about this, but they're not taking it. They're making judgments with physical delusions and with criminal persuasions. So, and this was on off campus with UConn, Trinity College, CCSU, and others tied to the same people from my town, criminally involved with agencies and with their family members, and then with like DMV police in positions with them a long time, and with interreligious and stuff like that. And it's like a recorded insidiousness nature, where they're making opinions about people they can't put on paper, so they're pretending there was paper transferred with database illusions stacked with areas and with campuses and with courts, pretending people have relationships that don't know each other at all, tied to crime methods on and off campus, with them directing so they can pretend like they're trying to care about, judge who's a good person or a bad person like that. They're maintaining their rackets, total fit. They're building roles, opinions, criminally foreign influence, incapable of science, defending at the same time. They're incapable of following mandated law. See, now, they have experience to jobs, to positions where that was the breaching method originally still, that was upon our founders with slavery, with zoning laws. Our founders, if anyone was found out speaking about zoning laws out of internation monitored persuasions, database conversations about it, because as the science they were putting up as a breaching method for long term, because they knew that these relationships to nature cause negative value nature progressions. What do you think it's going to cause? The people stacking forced on New York. Why do you think it was forced never addressed by fact treatment nature or value nature system that's true? Because it's still a breached value nature system. Forced shared police since before our founders were born. They're recorded consciously making people not understand that, and pretending they believe that our founders were slaveholders. That our founders were behind it. When it was internation, our founders were slaves roles. Just like, the only reason there's a difference is because they began the fight. To fight not just what was abroad, because that was abroad, entrapped by the same thing, internation, criminal re-engineered internation sciences, Campus Marcias. So that we had the same enemy, but not one nation was allowed to touch that because we're in the same fact treatment trap. Everyone was consciously being forced to blame it on other and on others. and then to defend that. And they knew that they were pseudo-educating, pseudo-sophistication nature that would look and need as a fact treatment nature to rely upon correlation sabotage, forsaken with legal rights and science regarding people stacking impositions upon people of the North End of Hartford, for the same people against Wethersfield, pretending to be for them. It's a database solution stacking. Everyone's blind to each spot. See, we have experience that's intercity and interstate, not led voice, unless it's criminally foreign influenced. You see what I'm saying? I have good experience because I have a lifetime of people making confessions to me, recorded, various ways demonstrating this, also recorded, hid by a pathology, a crime method I could explain to you and everyone could see it recorded. It shows that police forms are been pretending things that are not recorded into databases. Then they have to hide that, like two Mendez brothers, and sequence shifting, hiding their roles with online rape threats, with a proven child sex offender with the kids, that people tied to them were and are still further recorded, sustaining different kinds of impositions on, through doctors too, with the drug crimes, formal and informal, spreading rumors about the family members of people that they never had conversation with because they grew up with courts, with crime rolls with kids, using them to stack database solutions to pretend rumors because they needed to hide their live regressions, demonstrably tied to the ones they need to hide now with federal crimes, with Trinity College and with CCSU, both recorded and confessed and involved with crimes with interbranch families and members with their own family members too. See, that was with courts knowing their criminally foreign influence acted already with areas crimes, like with Lena's Pizza, recorded and confessed, involved with stabbings with them, with the already where they had they directed witness fabrications and that, illusions in other cases where Alicia, they have a bunch of people share the name Alicia too. So CCSU and Trinity College too are with, and UConn are with like criminal justice and psychology, with uncharged, original, and state crime rolls with areas. Like John Maiano also recorded and confessed involved with police on and off campus, and with their relationships to the policing of drugstores and those families and stuff like that, and the sensibilities were like that, used instead to get over what they're supposed to be against, because it's being facilitated for them, and it had been, so that they're all kept connected, not as popularity, but as like so that's where popularity and things like this are used, recorded too, because there's systemic people pretending they knew people from the past that weren't in their classes, tied to database solution stacking with interbranch, maintain criminally foreign influence. Like there's a Mike Roberts, Ray Reynolds. I only know from context where they recorded and confessed involved with worse than interstate crimes with Wethersfield police, and with courts, and with in-school databases, and with area crimes, with male and female child predators. Also recorded and confessed involved with the crimes with the nuns, and with the West Farmers Mall, and people associated with the body dumping spot of a serial killer, real or made up, that person associated with federal crimes with evidences with them, other natures of crimes with them, to hide child predators too, before they were put into the jail by the associated criminally with that guy, before they convicted him, the court. They had crime rolls with him, with the campuses, and on and off campus relationships to him. That's spread near Normandy Heights too. Two of the leasing agents and people and their family members also recorded and confessed involved with on and off campus crimes acts in natures with CCSU and with courts, and tied to courts cases, and to the roles with child crimes and crimes against me were too with what we hit. One guy had like a girlfriend they put in my class. They always had placements in my class too from people from my school, and then associated with interbranch actors. Just because someone gets elected doesn't mean they're qualified, or you know. And when they're not qualified, we have to have means to demonstrate it. You know, oh look, you're doing something wrong, but we don't have mandated law that follow. So they're making sure only the people who are going to be indifferent, criminal, insidiousness nature tools are getting elected. This is how slavery was blamed on. This is how they still pretend that the jurors and that the justices with the witch trials really believed it was a witch trial. This is how they pretend they really believe that they were influenced by drugs, because they're with a drug crime. And they're with medical crime, with mental health and stuff like that, where they're pretending diagnosis and things like that against strangers. They're just stacking databases with, in other words, that's why they can't follow the mandated law, because they already been database illusion stacking, recorded, and they have a crime method with lawyers incapable. In other words, they have all the issues separated, and without allowing the issue of the offense. This is what we need the Attorney General for, because the state police are also, I mean, the state police also are criminally involved, and with foreign and domestic agencies here and there. See, that's keeping them knaves as the trade center, which terrorism is tied to. It's a total fact treatment nature racket tied to the intersciences by areas maintaining fake identities there and here and everywhere. Every modern nation is a fake identity. A nature of sciences that understood that we're only identity positive by its identity. That's the only thing that... So... I don't know the number of the house too. They obfuscated it. So there's men and women with a young woman or a girl also recorded and confessed involved with KKK Confederate flag themed crimes with the kids through time. When with the child sex predators proven tied to the police and more recorded and confessed. There's also a bunch of different FBI relationships to my area that were criminally exploited through time like this. This is how the area is maintaining. There's also federal criminals from my town associated with further crimes, who were federal criminals who were co-defendants of a former director of the FBI, tied to a proven sequence shift in the Ninth Circuit right before the Trade Center attack, tied to recorded, pretended not realize till criminally, interbranch database illusion stacking sequence shifts in Connecticut cases tied to that. That was with the former director, with co-defendants of his that were federal criminals. They had intercity ties, criminal acts, and with the people with the database illusion stacking and placements in my classroom that were used for recorded crimes with the courts. Database illusion stacking, spreading rumors about me, intercampus, every campus I went to, and not allowing me any writing response. They used WFSB was recorded, confessed with other CT media directed to fake both sides of news. After they had roles with the same police recorded and confessed men and women involved with, also doctors, foreign and domestic, recorded with crimes with child sex predators, and then covering them up by pretending they knew people in the past and actively. They attached me to fake relationships to doctors I never were. They attached my father and me to fake conversations about each other. Also others associated with, we have a lot of Hartford Hospital and other hospital campuses where it has nothing to do, and we have fake healthcare corruption with healthcare investigators, also military investigators, wasting the space and the money of our health campuses, and keeping our police criminally foreign influenced, fake patriotism natures, fake everything nature. They ain't capable of speaking, but as guys reactions to relied upon for that. Negative value nature progressions and acts. They're victim predators of tactical pseudo-education, our branches. And see, we have mandated law not let follow because they already lied too long. They've already been sick too long, the same way they were sick with slavery and with witch trials and with the laws, with the zoning laws that no one could speak about it, or the really scary things that happen in their whole families. For one person speaking about outside of it, an internation monitoring database relationship, about building houses. This is before cars, they built these little spots. Detectable denatured relationship to nature. No one could face because no one could use fact treatments ulterior from the real value nature system, while we're on these ones ulterior from the actual one. See, native rights and means, as long as they're denied, negative value nature progressions will continue. What do you think is going to happen when you stack people in New York City? And Trump is right in our faces. We have such pseudo-education on a systemic level so much. He tries to address it, which is one of the only few people who can do that, because you have to know about value nature system. Markets, positions, value nature systems are all tactically ulterior. That's why he's saying we have sick trade agreements. That's what that means. And when they're just, that's criminal insidiousness nature. Abridging the Constitution, fact treatment nature. Its roles with it originally forced, still entrenched, to what was internation breaching method, entrenchments, per breaching method, through the entrenchments of fake sides, the fake colonial differences, per the same extortion method of kings in each nation, forced to reactions as roles. On 10 years old.